3 days later, John Yi successfully got 2 guns and 100 rounds of ammunition under the lead of Wu Huiren. Although the price is a bit expensive, John Yi does not dislike it in the slightest. With this heavy thing in his hand, in the last days, he has more confidence in his own safety. As for the medicines needed in the last days, he also finished the deal with Zhou Heran and directly got 2 boxes of imported high-end medicines. Another week passed. Wu Huiren called John Yi and told him that the safe house had been built according to his requirements. Ask him to come back and check. Only then did John Yi leave the hotel where he stayed for a long time, and then drove back to Yuela community. Wu Huiren personally took John Yi to inspect the house. When he got home and looked at it, John Yi couldn't help but see a bright light in his eyes. Zhanlong Company deserves to be a first-class security company in China. The speed and quality with which they build their safe houses can't be faulted. According to John Yi's request, the whole house has been installed with 100 mm thick steel plate. And from the outside, there is no difference from before. Wu Huiren patiently explained to John Yi one by one. The ventilation system is of military grade, which can filter any harmful gas and prevent someone from attacking poisonous gas from the outside. In addition, the thermal insulation system of the whole house has also been completely redone, using professional-grade materials from the Arctic Science Institute. In addition to building the fireplace according to your requirements, it can also isolate 99.5% of the temperature loss. Speaking of this, Wu Huiren smiled mysteriously at John Yi. In addition, in order to ensure your safety, we have installed a monitoring system in the entire building. There are a total of 300 cameras, allowing you to monitor every floor of the entire building. After John Yi heard this, he was surprised and didn't know what to say. I can only sigh that it is really good to be rich, and you can buy services that ordinary people can't imagine. He came to the balcony and found that the balcony had been transformed into a huge floor-to-ceiling window. Wu Huiren explained, the materials of the windows are all bulletproof and explosion-proof, even stronger than 100 mm steel plates. And it is convenient for your lighting and necessary external observation. John Yi is very satisfied with this safe house. I'm afraid no one can force his way into his home unless it's an army armed with heavy weapons. Even if the whole building collapses, I'm afraid there won't be any problems in his room. I am very satisfied with the safe house you have built. John Yi smiled and said to Wu Huiren. Wu Huiren also smiled. He took out the document and asked John Yi to sign it, and then said, if there is no problem, please pay our final payment within 3 months. John Yi smiled and nodded, definitely. However, it is impossible for him to pay the final payment. It's so cool to think that I only spent a deposit of 100 million yuan to prostitute a safe house worth nearly -million yuan. John Yi lay on the sofa, looking at his perfect safe house. But after thinking about it for a while, he realized that he had overlooked a very important thing. That is the source of life. John Yi slapped his forehead. I'm going. How can you forget such an important thing as water? After the end of the ice, although it is freezing outside, water can be obtained by digging ice. But at that time, it is generally -degrees outside, and going out means that it may be dangerous. John Yi absolutely cannot tolerate such a big loophole in his safe house. After thinking about it, he placed an order directly through the delivery platform and bought 100 huge water storage buckets. It can store 500 cubic meters of water at one time, which is enough for several years of self-use. In addition, mineral water can be taken from the warehouse later, so the problem of water resources has been perfectly solved. The speed of the courier is really impressive. A few hours later, it was delivered to John Yi's door. John Yi came to the gate of the community and asked Uncle Yu, the security guard, to let the courier brother through. Seeing that John Yi bought so many strange things again, the neighbors around were all talking about it. This John Yi, is there something wrong? That's right, I buy some weird things every day. A few days ago when their house was being renovated, I saw many people carrying steel plates at least 10 centimeters thick. Hee hee, maybe my brain is broken. What kind of safe house do I have in other movies? I've also seen some rich people doing that kind of thing in foreign videos. Isn't this completely unfounded worry? Now that he has bought so many buckets, doesn't he think that Tianhai City will be short of water in the future? Ha ha ha. Facing the ridicule of the neighbors as if watching a show, Johnny didn't bother to argue with them. He just sneered in his heart, and when the end of the ice comes, you will understand how stupid you are now. Johnny was not interested in explaining to them, because these people will only regard Johnny as a fool, and will not listen to his good advice at all. Maybe there will be a backlash, saying that Johnny spread rumors and disrupted social order. Then catch him again. The doorman, Uncle Yu, was chatting with his neighbor, Uncle Tang. Uncle Yu came over enthusiastically and asked, "Xiao John, what are you buying so many buckets for? If you need help, let me know, and I will help you." Looking at the enthusiastic Uncle Yu, Johnny couldn't help feeling a little emotional in his heart. Uncle Yu is a veteran and has no children. He has worked as a security guard in the community for more than 10 years and has always done his duty. In his previous life, in order to help a mother and daughter who were about to starve to death, he donated his last food and starved to death himself. He is the brilliance of humanity that Johnny has rarely seen in the last days. So Johnny said to Uncle Yu, "Uncle Yu, the temperature this year is a bit abnormal. I have inside information that this winter is very difficult. Just in case, you'd better stock up on more food and drink, to avoid price increases in time." Uncle Yu and Johnny usually have a good relationship. He knew that Johnny was a warm-hearted and kind-hearted young man. In addition, older people are always prone to have a sense of urgency, so they frowned when they heard what Johnny said. "Xiao John, is it true or not? Is the news reliable?" Johnny nodded. "Look, I have prepared so many things. You can stock up on instant noodles and mineral water, and you are not afraid to buy too many of these things." Uncle Yu nodded immediately. He lives alone, and he likes to stock up some instant noodles and ham sausage at home, which is convenient for cooking. Now that Johnny has reminded him, then take the time to buy more. Think of it as buying a peace of mind. Anyway, those things can be stored, so I am not afraid of buying too much. However, when Uncle Tang heard the words, he came over to Johnny and said, "Xiao John, please don't say such things everywhere. Now that our society is stable and peaceful, why is there a shortage of supplies? If you say something like this, be careful not to be reported for spreading rumors. You will be invited to drink tea then." Johnny rolled his eyes, but didn't pay much attention to it. What he can remind has already been reminded, and it's up to them to believe it or not. Johnny asked the courier brother to deliver 100 giant buckets to their home. Then I started to turn on all the faucets in the house and started pouring water into the buckets. According to the speed, all 100 buckets can be filled in a week at most. Days pass by. Johnny is not idle all day. He spent every penny in his hands without saving. Go to the best restaurant for every meal. Then buy a large number of meals from top restaurants and store them in your own different space. And during this period, he went to the shooting range in Tianhai City every day to practice crossbow and firearm shooting, and strive to improve his skills. In a month's time, it is not realistic to want to train yourself to become a master of fighting. But with a crossbow and gun, plus a super safe house with a full metal casing, he will not be afraid of any possible danger. Such a move naturally cannot escape everyone's eyes. But everyone around him treats Johnny as a joke. Thinking that he has mental problems, they all laughed at him in private. Even Fang Yuking deliberately distanced herself from Johnny, unwilling to communicate with him. Just like that, time passed day by day. More than 20 days have passed quickly, and the end is not far away. John Yi has collected a huge amount of supplies, including food, weapons, and heating equipment. However, these did not provide him with enough sense of security. He decided to attack Walmart's giant warehouse. As long as he takes down this warehouse, he can get a huge amount of supplies that he can't use up in 10 lifetimes. So, John Yi returned to the warehouse and went to work normally. Walmart warehouses are staffed 24 hours a day, but at night, there are only 10 people on duty. John Yi decided to use the simplest and crudest method, which was to add sleeping pills to the tea they drank. Anyway, the end of the world is less than a week away, and he is not afraid of being found out that he did it himself. Since these people are all old acquaintances of John Yi easily succeeded. After the effect of the medicine took effect, they fell into a deep sleep, while John Yi came to the monitoring room and turned off the cameras in the entire warehouse. After doing all this, he quickly came to the warehouse. Looking at the huge warehouse in front of him, John Yi took a deep breath and then began to collect the supplies. As long as he glanced at the shelf with his right eye, the whole shelf will appear in his different space with just a thought. John Yi came to the beverage area first. Hundreds of thousands of tons of mineral water, beverages, and liquors are stored here, including many high-end red wines and foreign wines. John Yi didn't make any distinctions and packed them all into his warehouse. Soon, the thousands of cubic meters of drinks in front of him disappeared. The next one is the fuel area for living supplies. There are plenty of anthracite and barrels of gasoline and alcohol. They are all household types, used for family storage or travel and picnic use. There are tens of thousands of boxes of anthracite alone, not to mention those solid alcohol and barreled gasoline. The amount here, John Yi can't use it up in 100 years alone. John Yi put them all away without hesitation, and then used his years of professional knowledge in warehousing to allocate areas for them in the different space. This will make it easier for you to use. In the third step, he came to the food area. The amount here is even bigger, tens of thousands of tons. Canned food, packaged roast chicken, roast duck, puffed food, convenience food, high-end snacks. John Yi is not picky eaters at all. He takes whatever he has. After taking the food, John Yi came to the sports equipment again. His safe house and sports equipment are also essential. Although the space in the safe house is limited, he will not be polite about the things that can be taken. Anyway, the area of the different space is unlimited, so if you don't take it, you won't take it for nothing. Among them, there are some special things. For example, baseball bats and fencing are particularly useful weapons. During the collection process, John Yi found some particularly useful items. For example, skiing and mountaineering equipment, including professional winter clothing at the national athlete level. These things can withstand the extreme cold temperature of -100. John Yi's eyes lit up. These are the top cold protection equipment after the end of the ice. He was not polite and immediately collected dozens of top-level winter clothes and sleeping bags in the warehouse. After 2 full hours, John Yi alone emptied out the entire Walmart warehouse covering an area of several million square meters. After finishing these, looking at the huge and empty warehouse, John Yi felt indescribably satisfied. Now, even in the face of the coldest ice age, he is confident that he can live comfortably forever. John Yi returned to his post, took a sip of the tea with sleeping pills, and fell asleep on the table. After an unknown amount of time, he was jolted awake by someone. "Director, supervisor, something serious happened. Wake up." John Yi slowly opened his eyes and looked at the colleagues in front of him with a confused expression. "What happened?" A warehouse employee tremblingly pointed at the warehouse and said, "Damn it! Our warehouse has been emptied." "What?" John Yi patted the table in surprise and stood up. He pretended to come to the warehouse, and he saw the empty scene as a matter of course. John Yi naturally knew what happened in his heart better than anyone else. However, His legs were still weak, and he said in a trembling voice, "What happened? Why are so many supplies in the warehouse gone?" The surrounding employees also looked nervous. Yes, there are at least tens of billions of materials in this warehouse. Even if it is pulled by a large truck, it will take several days to complete it. Why are all of them gone in the blink of an eye? They kept silent about what happened just now. After all, everyone is on the night shift, and it is common for them to take a nap at night. Johnny sullenly walked 2 steps back and forth, pretending to be anxious. Then he said to everyone, "This matter is too bizarre. We can't solve it. Let's call the people above." Although the big guy was very nervous, he was not too scared. Because things got so big, they didn't have much responsibility. The materials worth tens of billions in the entire warehouse disappeared in just 2 hours, which is obviously not something they can do. They earn thousands of dollars in wages a month, and they don't need to work hard for the company. So when Johnny said this, everyone nodded in agreement. Let the people above worry about this kind of mess. Johnny immediately called the manager of the warehouse to inform him of the incident. After the manager heard the news, he was completely frightened, and even thought that Johnny was joking with him. Johnny emptied the entire warehouse of Walmart South China warehouse. Materials worth tens of billions have all entered his different space. And he pretended not to know anything, and immediately reported to Walmart's top management. Soon, the news spread throughout Walmart's South China executives. Shocked, a large group of leaders rushed to the scene and called the police to deal with the matter. Johnny was not worried at all that he would be exposed. After all, in just 2 hours, all the tens of billions of materials in the entire warehouse disappeared. This kind of thing is too unimaginable. Even if the police investigate with all their strength, they will not be able to find out in a short time. However, he still pretended to be nervous and scared, and cooperated with the police investigation. After a night of interrogation, Johnny was released. The police are also very suspicious of this matter, because they investigated the footage inside and outside the warehouse. Although the internal video recordings have been turned off, it is impossible to steal millions of cubic meters of supplies without leaving any traces. However, through the video inspection around the warehouse, no trace of any vehicles passing by was found. In other words, the tens of billions of supplies either disappeared out of thin air, or it was a trick played by Walmart itself. But if it is inferred by logic, it is obvious that the latter is more reasonable. After all, unless there is a supernatural phenomenon, it is impossible to explain how the millions of cubic meters of materials disappeared without a trace in just 2 hours. As for ordinary employees like Johnny, although it also aroused certain doubts. However, the logical problem of the disappearance of materials cannot be explained. Even if there is a problem with the internal staff, it is not the main contradiction. Johnny was ordered not to leave Tianhai City for a short period of time, and must cooperate with the police and Walmart's internal investigation at any time. Johnny cooperated very well, and was then released. After Johnny returned home, he glanced outside through the blinds of the French windows. Today is December 12th, and there are still 8 days before the Ice Age comes. For the next time, he only needs to stay at home and not go anywhere, and he can lie down and win the rest of his life. Thinking of the value of tens of billions in the different space, which includes almost all the materials needed in life, Johnny's heart is very at ease. He went back to the bedroom and lay down. After a busy night and cooperating with the interrogation, he was also a little tired. This time Johnny fell asleep until the evening, and turned on the TV to see that the news was broadcasting the theft of the Walmart South China warehouse. Because the material lost in this theft was too much and too bizarre, all major news stations across the country rushed to report it. Such a large warehouse was emptied within a few hours. Someone must have guarded it. It must have been done by an insider, most likely by Walmart executives themselves, in order to defraud insurance. That's millions of cubic meters of material. Even if it's pulled by a big truck, it's impossible to pull it all in one night. Johnny smiled slightly. No one will know the answer to this matter until the end comes. In the next few days, Johnny stayed at his home and didn't go anywhere. He knew that the time left for this world was running out. For safety's sake, he won't leave his room without authorization. During the period, investigators from the police and Walmart headquarters called him over again and questioned him. Although they also suspected that there was something wrong with Johnny's behavior that night. But firstly, the investigation time was short, and secondly, there was no conclusive evidence, so they doubted it, but it was impossible to arrest Johnny. During the period, some acquaintances sent messages to inquire about the inside story with Johnny, but they were all fooled by Johnny. Finally, the day of December 12th came. The gamma rays passed through the blue star at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it only passed for a moment, but the impact on this planet was devastating. Johnny completely sealed the room a few hours in advance, and then the fireplace started to light a fire. Because before long, things like air conditioning and heating will fail completely as the energy source dries up. All heating methods can only be done through the most primitive means. At 2 o'clock, he was sitting on the sofa in front of the huge French windows, holding a bottle of beer, staring out the window. Suddenly, a white light appeared at the end of the sky. It was clearly midnight, but the earth became brighter as if at dusk. But this kind of light only lasted for a short 2 seconds, and then fell silent. Most people have already fallen asleep at this time, so they didn't notice this momentary change. But Johnny, who knew what this meant, his whole back was already icy cold. He gulped down the beer, and the refreshing Budweiser brought him a little calm. Thinking about it, Johnny threw a few more pieces of high-quality wood into the fireplace. He reached out and turned on the TV. While watching the programs on the TV, he waited for the changes in the world. After only a few minutes, dense snowflakes began to float in the sky outside. At first the snowflakes were only as big as a fingernail, but after less than 2 minutes, they started to turn into snowflakes. The wind outside the window began to howl, and the snow outside seemed to become terrifying in an instant. Over the entire city, heavy snow suddenly appeared. That's the power of nature not to say hello to you when it changes. Johnny began to feel a little nervous. Although the safe house he built was perfect, after all, he had experienced the icy doomsday, so he would inevitably be a little worried. I don't know if this safe house, which costs up to 800 million yuan, can completely withstand the next big drop in temperature. However, as the flames blazed up in the fireplace, the temperature in the room became extremely warm. Even a little hot. Johnny glanced at the indoor temperature and found that it had reached 32.6 degrees. Looking outside again, the entire city has been submerged by the overwhelming snowflakes. Johnny felt more at ease. But he didn't fall asleep in a hurry. He still had to continue to observe the next changes. As for rest, there will be plenty of time later. In less than half an hour, a thick layer of snowflakes had accumulated on the balcony outside. Johnny turned on his mobile phone to watch the news, and found that the news about the sudden drop in temperature had spread all over the internet. The internet is full of voices complaining about the sky. Netizens are clamoring that this year's winter has come too early, and they have not had time to prepare winter clothes. This hellish weather, why is it more than 10 degrees below zero? Tomorrow, the road will be frozen. How can I go to work? Others express their delight. With so much snow, I don't have to go to work tomorrow. Haha. In particular, some friends from the south excitedly posted a photo of themselves and said that they had never seen such a heavy snow in the south. Johnny shook his head. This was just the beginning. The next 3 months of heavy snow will continue, and the temperature will get lower and lower. At that time, they will not be in such a good mood to enjoy the snow. The ice age kicked off. It snowed heavily in Tianhai City in the south, and there was a lot of discussion on the internet. Some people were complaining, and some were rejoicing. But none of them knew that this heavy snowfall and cooling were not temporary, but would continue and expand. In the end, it brought a disaster that no one could bear. But at this time, Johnny was lying on the sofa at home, comfortably enjoying the temperature of more than 30 degrees in the safe room, while tasting iced Budweiser. Very comfortable. At this time, Johnny's cell phone rang suddenly. He took it over and saw that it was people chatting in the mobile phone chat group. Among them are his former classmates, his friends, and the owners of the community. My God, why did it suddenly snow so much? The weather forecast didn't say anything. I woke up from the cold in the middle of the night, so get up and turn on the air conditioner. Don't talk about it. The air conditioner in our house is not effective in heating. It has been getting colder and colder for half a day. I don't know how long the cold weather will last. I haven't bought any winter clothes yet. Everyone talked a lot, expressing their feelings in a hurry. But Johnny could feel that most people didn't take the sudden drop in temperature seriously, but were a little surprised. Johnny knew very well that this was only temporary. He yawned and didn't intend to read any further. Back on his warm big bed, Johnny covered himself with a velvet quilt and closed his eyes comfortably. His bed was comfortable, a high-end item brought from a Walmart warehouse. Especially the mattress, which is said to be the same model as a certain female star, worth 300 million. It was snowing goose feathers outside, the cold wind was howling, and the fireplace inside the house was burning brightly, and the temperature was pleasant. In such a comfortable environment, Johnny soon fell asleep. Early the next morning, Johnny was woken up by the ringtone of his mobile phone. He opened his eyes and saw that it was Lian Hua Fan Yuking calling him. Being quarreled with a good dream, Johnny's mood is naturally not very comfortable. He took the phone and asked angrily, "Hey, why are you calling me so early in the morning?" Fan Yuking froze for a moment when she heard Johnny's cold tone. But soon, she still said, "Johnny, it's so cold outside today. Did you know in advance that the temperature would drop when you stockpiled supplies?" Fan Yuking's voice trembled a little, as if she was trying to endure something. Hearing this, Johnny's mouth curved into a mocking arc. Sure enough, the White Lotus went to the Three Treasures Hall for nothing. He lazily said, "I also heard it from a friend casually, but I didn't expect the temperature drop to be so severe." He lifted the quilt. The temperature in the room was so high that he was sweating a little. Johnny put on his slippers and walked out. When he came to the floor-to-ceiling windows, the familiar scene in front of him caught his eyes. The heavy snow outside has flooded the entire city, and he can't see the streets and shrubs on the roadside now. Only the outlines of urban buildings could be vaguely seen, and most of the first floors of many houses were submerged. And the heavy snow is still going on. The goose feather flakes keep falling to the ground, showing no sign of stopping. On the other end of the phone, Fan Yuking was still saying, "No wonder you hoarded so many things. Johnny, you really don't tell me this kind of thing in advance." Johnny frowned. Unexpectedly, she had the face to complain about him. He hung up the phone directly and threw the phone aside. Then, he went to the bathroom and took a comfortable hot shower. Then I took out a top quality of 5-way gyro beef from the space, and had steak and pasta for breakfast. While eating breakfast, he turned on the TV to watch. Now that the temperature has just ushered in, there has been no power outage, so the TV can still be watched normally. But even if the power is cut off, Johnny has prepared various backup power sources, as well as dozens of generators and a huge amount of gasoline. As far as energy is concerned, at least 300 years will not be a problem. After turning on the TV, Johnny first tuned to the morning news channel. Although as a reborn person, he knows what's going on outside. But at this time, it is also a way of pastime to take a look at the situation outside. On the news station, The two anchors were actually wearing thick down jackets. You know, in a place like a TV station, the central air conditioner is not stingy, and it is also a place where power supply is given priority. But the anchors all need to wear down jackets, which means that the temperature has reached the point where the central air conditioner can't completely resist it. The female anchor faced the camera and tried to speak in a steady tone. Last night, a strong cold air hit all parts of the world, causing drastic changes in global temperature. The general temperature drop reached 70 to 100 degrees Celsius. As for the reason for this cold air, the meteorological department is investigating. In the next few days, I hope everyone will keep warm and avoid frostbite. If you don't have to, try not to go out. The authorities will properly resolve this issue, and I hope everyone will not panic. Don't spread rumors or believe rumors, let alone looting supplies. The snowstorm will pass soon. Hearing the female anchor's words, John Yi snorted. After the advent of the Ice Age, if you want to survive, you can only rely on yourself. If you really stay at home and do nothing, you must be the first group to die. In the upper right corner of the TV, it has been shown that the outdoor temperature in Tianhai City has reached -65 degrees. You know, during the daytime yesterday, the highest temperature in Tianhai City was still 15 degrees, which means that the temperature dropped by 80 degrees at once. John Yi shrugged. This level of cooling is exactly the same as in the previous life. But now he is wearing pajamas, drinking red wine and eating steak with pasta, and he doesn't feel the cold outside at all. After all, it was a safe house that cost 800 million to build, and he specially emphasized the function of heat preservation, so the temperature inside the house would hardly pass away. At this time, John Yi's cell phone rang again. He was very interested and wanted to see what the neighbors who had laughed at him before were talking about. The first thing I saw was Fang Yuking's news. John Yi, why did you hang up the phone all of a sudden? There's a lot of snow outside. I can't go out. Didn't you buy a lot of food? Can you lend me some first, and I will pay you back when the snowstorm is over? John Yi raised his eyebrows, and a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. The White Lotus has brains, knowing that with such a heavy snow, food will become very expensive. She didn't want to go out in the ultra-low temperature of --- degrees, so she wanted to ask John Yi for food. But John Yi knew that this glacial disaster would last for a very long time, and it would not pass soon at all. Moreover, it was impossible for him to give Fang Yuking a bite. In his previous life, he was bewitched by this White Lotus and gave her a lot of food from his home. In the end, she actually killed John Yi, and even poached John Yi's ribs to make soup. For such a woman, John Yi just wants to tease her well, and then watch her die miserably. Thinking of this, a playful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he sent a message to Fang Yuking. You said it earlier, I have almost eaten all the things I stock up at home. Look, the steak I just fried this morning. After John Yi finished speaking, he took a selfie with himself and the steak and red wine on the table. He deliberately took a picture of himself in pajamas, and then sent it to Fang Yuking. At this time, Fang Yuking was curled up in her rented room, wrapping two quilts tightly around her body. Although the air conditioner has been turned on to 40 degrees, the indoor temperature can't even reach 0 degrees. She was shivering from the cold, feeling that the air was filled with cold wind pouring into the quilt. After seeing the photo sent by John Yi, Fang Yuking immediately widened her eyes. She couldn't believe that in such a cold weather, John Yi was still wearing thin pajamas, eating steak, and drinking Red Bull comfortably there. Obviously, everyone lives in the same unit. Why does it feel like living in two worlds? Especially after seeing the delicious steak and the bottle of high-end red wine on the table, Fang Yuking's saliva almost drools. As a top-notch White Lotus girl, she has done some research on these high-end products. According to her knowledge, the steak John Yi ate was authentic top-quality Wajiba beef. Especially the French red wine in his hand, which is definitely at the top of the chateau, and a bottle costs at least dash to dash. Now that she is freezing to death, but Johnny is living so comfortably, Fang Yuking immediately becomes jealous to death. She immediately sent a message to Johnny. That's great. People also want to eat steak and drink red wine. She felt that her hint was already very obvious. According to Johnny's previous personality, he would definitely take the initiative to bring her steak and red wine at this time. But after Johnny saw this sentence, he smiled happily. Do you still regard yourself as the licking dog of the past? He replied slowly with a message. If you want to eat, go to the supermarket to buy it. After Fang Yuking saw the news, her face froze. Is not this nonsensical? It's minus dash or dash degrees outside, and now any inch of skin that's exposed is at risk of frostbite. She is such a delicate girl. How could he make such excessive demands? Fang Yuking gritted her teeth and said angrily, Johnny, you are really not a man. You don't know how to show yourself when you are given such a good opportunity. At this time, Fang Yuking still had some backbone. Although she really wants to eat steak and drink high-end red wine. But in her eyes, Johnny is just a fish in her fish pond. Moreover, she thinks the snowstorm will pass within a few days. Therefore, she still worked hard to maintain her image as a proud goddess, and did not take the initiative to ask Johnny to give her food. Johnny didn't continue to pay attention to Fang Yuking, but went to other chat groups, intending to watch a good show. When I saw the group of owners in their community, I happened to see Aunt Lin from the neighborhood committee calling on everyone not to panic and to stay at home honestly. Everyone, don't worry, it's just a sudden drop in temperature, and it will pass in 2 or 3 days at most. Don't go looting supplies, trust our officials. Our neighborhood committee will also help you find a way to survive the snow disaster. Please obey the orders and obey the instructions, and don't cause trouble for the authorities. Some owners raised objections. Such heavy snow, I don't know when it will stop. It is troublesome for us to go out now. Can we do it without stocking up on supplies at home? That's right, why don't you go out and buy some vegetables and come back? I'm afraid the prices of vegetables are going to go crazy again these days. Aunt Lin immediately accentuated her tone. What are you doing? Isn't this messing with us? Looting supplies will only lead to higher prices, and everyone will have to eat expensive dishes. If anyone dares to hoard supplies and I find out, don't blame me for reporting him to the higher authorities for disturbing people's hearts. Johnny saw Aunt Lin, who was directing everyone like a leader in the group, and a sneer appeared on the corner of Johnny's mouth. Today is the first day of the Ice Age. Because the weather outside is too cold, the supplies in the supermarket have not been snatched up yet. If you go out in heavy snow at this time, although there is a risk of frostbite, there is definitely a chance to stock up on certain supplies. However, due to the intimidation of Aunt Lin, many people took chances and did not go out to buy vegetables. One can imagine what the final result will be. At this moment, Aunt Lin suddenly pointed her finger at Johnny. She met Johnny in the owner group. Xiao John, you stocked up a lot of things at home before. Now that the snowstorm is serious, you can't be a negative example. Stay at home honestly these few days. If I find you out shopping again, don't blame Aunt Lin for not being sympathetic. Johnny's face became a little ugly. This old godly woman, because she begged for something from herself last time, she didn't give it to her. So she always kept it in her heart. This time when she found an opportunity, she would not forget to carry her gun with her stick. But it's a pity that the end of the neighborhood committee is nothing to Johnny now. He sneered and replied, Aunt Lin, no one knows how long this snowstorm will last. If it takes a long time and everyone has nothing to eat, can you take responsibility for it? With Johnny's question, it can be regarded as expressing the aspirations of many people. Everyone was dissatisfied with Aunt Lin's words, but because of Aunt Lin's status as a member of the neighborhood committee, She didn't dare to refute. With John Yi taking the lead, someone immediately stood up and asked, "Yeah, if you don't let us hoard supplies, who will be responsible for the lack of food and drink? Can you afford this responsibility?" Aunt Lin was a little flustered when she saw that everyone stood up to refute her. At the same time, she hated John Yi even more in her heart. To openly refute her in the owner group, isn't that not giving her face? Don't worry, our neighborhood committee can tell everyone responsibly that there will be no shortage of supplies. The snow disaster will pass soon. And you, John Yi, don't stir up people's hearts at this time. You are breaking the law and discipline. Aunt Lin, who was curled up at home, gritted her teeth and said viciously, "This John Yi really knows nothing about the heights of the sky and the earth, so think of a way to find a dark place to detain him for a few days." John Yi laughed out loud. It's such a time. It's ridiculous that the old woman surnamed Lin still wants to be like the past, relying on her little power to be a tyrant. Hey, I can't afford such a tall hat. Don't worry, it's so cold outside. Even if you ask me to go out, I won't go out. You can do whatever you want. He has already stocked up on supplies, so of course there is no need to go out and go to the supermarket with others to grab vegetable leaves. But those who believed Aunt Lin's nonsense would be miserable afterwards. John Yi lamented in his heart, "The end is coming. How many people will be frozen and starved to death?" However, some people deserve to die, such as those neighbors who killed themselves in the previous life. Regardless of whether they are dead or alive, anyway, John Yi has made up his mind to keep going. What does the life and death of other people have to do with John Yi? John Yi sat on the sofa and yawned bored. While others are living in hunger and cold, his life is more comfortable than in heaven. The home has the most perfect insulation system, as well as an inexhaustible amount of fuel, which is enough to keep his safe house at the most comfortable constant temperature throughout the year. Then he doesn't need to do anything, he just needs to let himself live happily every day. There are no good programs on TV at this time. Various live broadcasts were also shut down due to the extreme low temperature. After all, it is impossible for his favorite beauty anchors to wear suspenders to dance in the low temperature of -100 degrees, or even more than degrees. If there is, John Yi can only give a thumbs up and boast, "What a ruthless person." He opened his own different space, and there were many game consoles and 3A masterpiece games in the electronic equipment area. What about PS5 and Switch or Xbox? There are hundreds of brand new and unopened ones. As for game cassettes, there are as many as tens of thousands of sets. John Yi took out a new PS5, installed it on a huge 100-inch Sony TV at home, and started playing games. He was playing this year's latest 3A action game, Pioneering Witch 3. Also on hand are games like Elden Circle, The Witcher 3, and Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. They are all very good choices if you want to pass the time. If he dislikes the short duration of the game, there are even huge games like Civilization and City Skylines, which can make him enjoy himself. In the future, you don't need to think about work and worldly relationships. This kind of life is even more enjoyable than the one before the end of the world. Since he was at home, John Yi only wore pajamas, playing games while eating snacks, having a great time. After a while, his cell phone rang. John Yi took it over and took a look, and found that it was the annoying Aunt Lin from the neighborhood committee who was in the group talking to him. "John Yi, the roads outside are now blocked by heavy snow. Bring your tools and come out to help sweep the snow." There was an orderly tone in the words. John Yi also saw that she called everyone in the group to go out to sweep the snow together, but very few people responded. Unexpectedly, she found it directly on her head. John Yi glanced at the heavy snow outside the house. Almost the entire first floor was covered. It is almost a fantasy to remove the 3-meter deep snow by manpower. And John Yi also knew that the snow would last for at least 3 more months. Going out to sweep the snow now, It is not falling as fast as it is. Johnny immediately refused. In such cold weather, it will freeze into a popsicle after a while. Even if you sweep the snow, you have to wait until the snow stops. Some people also echoed Johnny. That's right, it's minus 70 degrees outside, so if you go out for a while, you'll probably get frostbite. Our place is not in the Northeast, and we don't have any decent cold-proof equipment at all. How can we get out? Aunt Lynn became anxious on the spot. What's your attitude? The snow removal is not for me, isn't it for everyone? You are all young and strong guys. How can you avoid disasters if you don't take the initiative to serve the people? She pointed the finger at Johnny, who took the lead in opposing her. Johnny, in the name of the neighborhood committee, I order you to go out to sweep the snow. Now is a time of crisis. We must unite and follow the command of the organization. Anyone who dares to take the lead in opposing me is opposing the leadership of the neighborhood committee. After the snow disaster is over, they will definitely be liquidated by the organization. Aunt Lynn once again moved out of her identity as a member of the neighborhood committee. The owners immediately dared not speak out. Now that the snow disaster has just arrived, various social orders still exist, and no one dares to violate them. Don't look at the people in these neighborhood committees who seem to have little power, but because of the little power in their hands, they are closely related to everyone on weekdays, so no one dares to provoke them. Everyone is silent, and no one wants to be this early bird. However, many people hope that Johnny will stand up and hate Aunt Lynn fiercely, and let him be the one who speaks for everyone. Of course, Johnny knew what these ostriches were thinking. A sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he despised them extremely in his heart. But it was impossible for him to swallow his anger. So he decided to break up with Aunt Lynn directly. He looked through the chat records above. Aunt Lynnites people are all young people in the community who are usually easy to talk to. And those troublesome thorns, or powerful people, she ignored them all. So Johnny mocked directly. Aunt Lynn is right. Since it is for everyone, people from your neighborhood committee should take the lead in sweeping the snow. And you're young and strong. There are so many people in our community. Why did you only call us a few? Do you think we are easy to bully? Those social people and the rich second generation didn't see you. Why, you can't even fart when you meet them. Seeing what Johnny said, the other owners nodded in satisfaction. Johnny is really my internet mouthpiece. That's right, they are all honest people. Why don't you go to Chenjengeo and Suhao? Everyone knows who those people Johnny mentioned are. They all live in the same community, and there are no powerful people in it, and everyone knows who they are. For example, Chenjengeo, who lives in 601 on the 6th floor, is a well-known social elder brother who works on earthwork projects and has hundreds of people under his command. Another example is Suhao from 8 on the 802th floor. His father is a well-known big developer in Tianhai City, and there are people who work in the government at home. From the beginning to the end, Aunt Lynn didn't mention the two of them a word. Johnny directly exposed Aunt Lynn's bullying nature, which made Aunt Lynn lose face immediately. She didn't mention those few people who were not easy to mess with. It was because she didn't have the guts, and they wouldn't bother her at all. People like them have always been bullying. If Johnny had this kind of personality before, Aunt Lynn would not let him sweep the snow here. She felt that she had lost face, and angrily sent several long voices in the group. Snow removal is a public service, and it is for everyone's sake. Some people just care about such a small matter, and they have no dedication at all. Such a person is simply the black sheep of our owner group. If you don't want to do it, just don't do it. Some people do it. Everyone's awareness is much higher than yours. Also, I'm not trying to be special to some people. It's just that there's no need for rights one by one. I hope you can figure it out and don't make mistakes. If you publish these words to slander me again, I will call the police. On the contrary, Ed Lin's explanation was getting darker and darker. Especially in the end, even claiming to call the police made Johnny roar with laughter. When the other owners heard Aunt Lynn's words, the timid ones were already a little scared and took tools to sweep the snow. But at this time Johnny was not afraid of her at all. Leaving aside her unreasonable behavior, the police will not support it at all. Besides, she didn't think that all kinds of social machines were working normally, did she? Johnny took Aunt Lynn's words as fart. However, he was also idle when he was idle, intending to tease the old woman. Oh, Aunt Lynn is so swollen. You are so capable. Go ask Chen Zhenghao and Su how to go downstairs to sweep the snow. He called names in the group, without any regard for anyone's face. Chen Zhenghao, nicknamed Brother Hao, is a well-known social gangster. It was he who held the head of the mountain axe belt when he broke into their house. Su Hao, the arrogant and domineering rich second generation, was the first person to attack John Yi. In short, except for a few good people, the rest of these neighbors participated in the attack or robbery on John Yi. He could even guess that after his death in his previous life, each of them got his share. So John Yi didn't give anyone face, just tore off their fig leaf so nakedly, disgusting them. Aunt Lynn looked at her phone. Her face suddenly changed. John Yi's name-calling made it difficult for her to get off. To put it bluntly, if she is cowardly at this time, she will definitely become everyone's laughing stock. And no one will listen to her orders in the future. She had no choice but to join Chen Zhenghao and Su Hao in the group. Family, the community is my home, and it depends on everyone to sweep the snow. I hope that family members who are free can bring tools and go out to sweep the snow together. After a while, Chen Zhenghao with ID 25 #602 sent several question marks. Then, a voice was posted in the group. Sweep the snow, sweep your head. Are you blind? Didn't you see that there is still so much snow outside? Fuck, is there something wrong with your brain? If you're sick, go to the hospital and don't bark like a dog here. I'll kill you, don't you believe it? Chen Zhenghao scolded I and his Aunt Lin very badly. After hearing this, the owners in the group were all happy to cover their stomachs and laugh. This Aunt Lin took herself as a character, but people didn't take her seriously at all. A small member of the neighborhood committee has a little influence on ordinary homeowners. People in this kind of society don't treat her like an onion. The rich second generation Su Hao also sent a voice. You sweeping snow is none of my business. I don't need to go to work, so it doesn't matter if I sleep at home every day. After he finished speaking, he also posted a picture of himself lying under a thick quilt with a woman in his arms. This house was only bought by Su Hao to raise a woman, and he happened to be imprisoned here as well. When Aunt Li asked him to sweep the snow, he felt that this woman was mentally ill. Aunt Lin was so scolded by Chen Zhenghao that she didn't dare to speak back. How dare she provoke the real ruthless people? But seeing Su Hao being so provocative, she said stubbornly, You are also a member of the owner anyway. Sweeping snow is your duty. Su Hao said disdainfully, But I pay the property fee every month. Is it for nothing? Without my money, you people in the neighborhood committee will starve to death. Damn, take the owner's money every day to act like a boss, and even treat yourself as the owner. Funny. None of those rich second generations are simple. Although Su Hao is idle, he has seen the world. The little ant of the neighborhood committee will not be taken seriously at all. After he finished speaking, he taunted proudly. I can have what I am today, relying on the energy of my parents and family. Can I be the same as you poor people? Hurry up, those who want to sweep the snow, you still have to go out to earn money for food. After sweeping the snow, I can leave this ghost place. Everyone was extremely angry when they heard Su Hao's arrogant words. But they were powerless to refute. Who makes people reincarnate better? Although those words are harsh, they are not true. The quarrel between Chen Zhenghao and Su Hao completely chilled everyone. Aunt Lin's words became bullshit, and no one paid any attention to it. Aunt Lin was furious. But she was not angry with Chen Zhenghao and Su Hao in her heart, but angry with Zhang Yi. She felt that she had succeeded in mobilizing the owners, and it was Zhang Yi, the shit-stirring stick, who ruined her. So she sent a private message to Zhang Yi and asked very angrily, "Zhang Yi, are you deliberately trying to make things difficult for me? Tell me what you want to do. I asked everyone to go out to sweep the snow. Does everyone need to go out? It's all right now, everyone is quitting. Are we going to stay locked at home forever?" Zhang Yi frowned. "Yo, there are also people who come to your door to scold you. Don't you fucking pretend to be garlic for me. It's not a thing to bully the weak and fear the hard. Why are you still here? You don't even dare to fart when you are scolded by others. You came to me to find a sense of existence, right? Tell you, your grandpa is not easy to bully. Bark at me again, be careful that I will kill you." Zhang Yi has a good grasp of Aunt Lin's character. It's just a waste that bullies the weak and fears the strong. Sure enough, after Zhang Yi uttered such harsh words, Aunt Lin was terrified. She is an old woman living with her grandson, and it is because of her status as a neighborhood committee that someone gives her face. But if someone else disregarded his status as a neighborhood committee and fought her with his life, she would not be enough for others to beat her up. She didn't dare to speak immediately, as if she was afraid of really angering Zhang Yi. Aunt Lin quickly blocked Zhang Yi, for fear that Zhang Yi would spray her again. Her body was shaking. She didn't know whether it was because of the cold or because Zhang Yi was frightened. "This bastard. You're just a jerk. Crazy. Don't provoke him now. Wait, I have plenty of ways to make your life difficult." Aunt Lin thought in her mind that in the future, she would use her identity as a neighborhood committee to make things difficult for Zhang Yi. For example, when distributing daily necessities, Zhang Yi was deliberately dragged. Or if there are any good community activities, don't tell Zhang Yi. She imagined Zhang Yi's remorse at that time, and even thought that Zhang Yi would come and beg her to let her go. But she closed the door coldly and said, "Aren't you very arrogant? You are so arrogant." After thinking about it, Aunt Lin smiled beautifully. "Hey, sooner or later there will be a day when you come to beg me. I don't know you as well now." Aunt Lin was satisfied with this method of Aku's spiritual victory. Then she continued to run into the group to mobilize others to go out and sweep the snow. Although the big guy looks down on Aunt Lin very much. However, most people have to go out to work in the future. Considering the problem of their own travel, there are still some honest people who take tools and brave the severe cold of -70 degrees to go out to sweep snow. Zhang Yi didn't expect that Aunt Lin just scolded and ran away, and someone came to make trouble over there. This time, his WeChat call was called. He glanced at the profile picture. It was Chen Zhenghao from the group. It seems that just now Zhang Yi talked about him in the group, which made him feel uncomfortable, so he called to scare Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi originally held resentment towards this bastard, but when he saw him calling, he immediately narrowed his eyes. Now, he really hopes that this short-sighted thing will come and trouble him. After all, it is impossible for Zhang Yi to get out of this safe house. But if anyone dares to come here to find trouble, he has a lot of means to make that person die a very miserable death. So Zhang Yi connected the phone. As soon as the phone was connected, there was a wave of vicious curses pouring over there. "Are you fucking looking for death? Who told you to talk about me in the group? Dare to mess with me, Chen Zhenghao, you little bastard. It looks like you don't want to live anymore. I have 100 ways to make you unable to stay in the city, believe it or not." Chen Zhenghao is also a well-known bully in Tianhai City. He has hundreds of people under his command. It is said that he has committed several life lawsuits. Therefore, he lived in a community with him, and all the owners avoided him, and no one dared to provoke him. In order to establish his prestige, Chen Zhenghao's style of doing things is that whoever dares to offend him a little bit, he will make that person pay a huge price. This is the face of the so-called social man. Therefore, even if Zhang Yi only mentioned him in the owner group, it was still regarded as a provocation by Chen Zhenghao. On the other end of the phone, he scolded fiercely, "You really want to die? I'm pretty good at beeping. I'm kind. Take me as an example." Of course, Zhang Yi would not spoil him. He sneered and scolded, "What kind of kanba are you? Don't play tricks on me here. A social scum, useless waste. Call you a horse. Call you a horse." Zhang Yi cursed loudly, feeling extremely happy in his heart. For this murderer who took the lead in breaking into his house in his previous life and killed him, he has long been holding back his anger. On the other end of the phone, Chen Zhenghao didn't expect that Zhang Yi would dare to talk back. He was furious and scolded even more harshly. Zhang Yi said directly, "You are a useless piece of trash. You only play with your mouth here, right? Who are you scaring? Go eat shit." After scolding, Zhang Yi hung up the phone and blocked him. After scolding, he blocked him. Thinking of Chen Zhenghao's furious look over there, Zhang Yi felt extremely happy in his heart. He walked to the TV, reached out and turned on the monitoring probe. When Zhanglong Security Company built a safe house for him, cameras were installed on the entire floor. It can be said that the entire building is now under his surveillance. Zhang Yi looked at the 6th floor where Chen Zhenghao was, and sure enough, the door of their house was pushed open very quickly. Wearing a down jacket, Chen Zhenghao walked out aggressively with a baseball bat in his hand. As a result, as soon as he went out, he immediately shrank from the cold. It was more than -70 degrees outside, and he actually wore a down jacket and autumn clothes to put on airs. He also deliberately opened the zipper to reveal the tattoo on his chest. As a result, the freezing temperature taught him a lesson immediately. Seeing that there was no one around, Chen Zhenghao quickly rubbed his hands and hurriedly got on the elevator. Zhang Yi sat on the sofa and picked up a crossbow from under the coffee table in a leisurely manner. This kind of hand crossbow is used for hunting. Even if it is a 300 kilograms wild boar, if it is shot once, a 20 centimeters crossbow arrow can be shot directly into the meat. While humming, he installed the crossbow bolts. After this period of practice, he has become very proficient in using the crossbow. Within 15 meters, not to mention 100 shots, but a head as big as a watermelon still won't miss it. The elevator kept going up, and Zhang Yi came to the door with a loaded hand crossbow. His huge safety gate has special shooting holes in the 2-meter-high place above it. Zhang Yi stepped on the chair and opened the door on the shooting hole. It can only be opened from the inside. Then he aimed the crossbow at the corridor outside. For safety's sake, Zhang Yi's pistol was also in his pocket. Even if this Chen Zhenghao is an Iron Man, he would be unlucky to come here today. After a while, the sound of the elevator sounded, and Chen Zhenghao walked over from the elevator cursing. Through the remarks of the owner group, he can easily know where Zhang Yi lives. When he came to the door, he picked up the baseball bat and slammed on the door while cursing. "Zhang Yi, come out to me, your grandson. Damn it, weren't you really awesome just now? Now that someone has the guts to show up, let's see how I kill you." Chen Zhenghao cursed viciously, and then slammed on the door forcefully. But the safety door was -centimeters thick, and it was equipped with bulletproof metal. In terms of defense, it was stronger than some large tanks. Of course, Chen Zhenghao couldn't smash it with a baseball bat, but it made his hands ache from the shock. Chen Zhenghao was cursing, but he didn't notice that he had been targeted with the crossbow. Looking at Chen Zhenghao's ferocious look, Zhang Yi showed a playful smile at the corner of his mouth. His crossbow arrow aimed at Chen Zhenghao's head. But after thinking for a while, he changed his aim. In this kind of doomsday, except for him, everyone else in the entire building will basically die. People like Chen Zhenghao are no exception. It would be so boring to kill him now. After all, in his previous life, he was eaten alive by these crazy neighbors. A smirk appeared on the corner of Zhang Yi's mouth. He won't let this bastard die so easily. So Zhang Yi changed his goal. There was only a slight sound of piercing through the air, and the sharp crossbow shot directly at Chen Zhenghao's leg. The crossbow arrow that could shoot wild boars directly penetrated his calf. Chen Zhenghao uttered a shrill scream, then fell to the ground, hogging his legs and howling. Suffering a penetrating injury at such a low temperature of -70 degrees, Chen Zhenghao's leg must have been useless. And because of the lack of medicines, infections are inevitable. Next, he will die miserably in pain and cold. Chen Zhenghao was in extreme pain at this moment, and only then did he realize that he had met a terrifying and ruthless person. In fact, these hooligans rely on their unsparing strength of not being afraid of death and messing around. The bet is that those honest people dare not resist them. But when they meet ruthless people who dare to play with crossbows, they will also be afraid in their hearts. Chen Zhenghao was so frightened that he couldn't even see where the arrow came from. However, he was worthy of being a ruthless person in the society, so he ran back to the elevator with a broken leg. Zhang Yi did not choose to continue to shoot. The reason is very simple. He wanted Chen Zhenghao to live for a while. After all, he is not a devil. After Chen Zhenghao ran back to the elevator, he was sweating profusely and quickly froze at the low temperature of -70 degrees. But at this moment, his heart was colder than the temperature of the air. The opponent's merciless attack just now made him feel the naked killing intent. In today's society, no one who dares to shoot people with a crossbow is easy to mess with. Chen Zhenghao looked at his crippled leg, and the entire calf was completely penetrated by the crossbow arrow. The blood stained half of the trouser legs red, and then ice formed. Under the ultra-low temperature, his pain sensation was not so strong. But this did not make Chen Zhenghao feel lucky. On the contrary, he was terrified. He knew that if this situation continued, if his leg was not healed, it would be useless within half an hour. Chen Zhenghao finally felt afraid. He took out his mobile phone and called 120. But the phone couldn't be reached all the time. Chen Zhenghao called for more than 2 minutes, and it showed that the line was busy. Chen Zhenghao's heart went cold. At this time, the outside world was freezing cold, and even the hospital was in a state of shutdown. Even if some hospitals still insist on operating, it is impossible to send an ambulance to save people because of the heavy snow outside and the city is closed. Chen Zhenghao is also a ruthless person. After hesitating for a long time, he decided to operate on himself. At the very least, this crossbow bolt has to be taken out. After returning home with difficulty, he took out a knife, alcohol lamp, gauze, and drugs to stop bleeding from the drawer. He fights with others a lot on weekdays, so naturally these things are always kept at home. Chen Zhenghao cut open the trouser leg with a knife, and when he saw the wound, his face turned pale with fright. Under the extreme cold and low temperature, the wound on his leg had already frozen. Although this temporarily stops the flow of blood, but around the wound, it had already started to turn purple, and the calf was completely numb. All thoughts in Chen Zhenghao's heart were lost. He knew that at such a time, he could only save himself. Fortunately, he is a ruthless person from the society. After thinking for a while, he performed the operation on himself. Since the calf had been damaged by the frost, the pain was much numb under the low temperature. So even without anesthesia, he successfully completed the operation. However, during this process, due to the pain, he almost passed out. And that calf was obviously useless too. Chen Zhenghao was lying on the sofa, panting heavily, hating Zhang Yi who shot him with an arrow in his heart. "Zhang Yi, you brat with small arms, I will definitely kill you, definitely." Chen Zhenghao's eyes were full of killing intent. He is not joking, but really intends to kill John Yi. Otherwise, how will he mess around in Tianhai City in the future? Chen Zhenghao picked up his phone because he was blocked by John Yi, so he had no choice but to hit John Yi in the owner group. John Yi, you son of a bitch, you wait for me. If you don't kill me, I will write the 3 words Chen Zhenghao backwards. The owners didn't really know what was going on. But after learning that John Yi had offended Chen Zhenghao, he couldn't help but sweat for him. Chen Zhenghao is a true hooligan. He is ruthless. However, if everyone knew that John Yi had shot him with an arrow and crippled his leg, they would be too scared to speak. However, some people were very excited. For example, Ed Lin, who was deflated because of John Yi before, said happily, "It's best for a dog to bite a dog." Neither of them is a good thing. It's better to let that gangster Chen Zhenghao beat John Yi to death, and let this damn thing scold me. And Bai Lian Hua Fang Yuking also saw the news in the group. She curled her lips, hoping that John Yi would be dealt with by Chen Zhenghao, who made John Yi treat her so indifferently that he didn't even know how to obediently deliver something to her, a goddess. However, no one in the group dared to speak out, for fear that this matter would implicate themselves. John Yi burst out laughing when he saw the news. As long as he doesn't leave the safe house, he doesn't pay attention to 100 Chen Zhenghao. John Yi sent a voice message to the phone. "What kind of thing are you? You only know how to bark. If you dare to mess with me again, your remaining leg will also be crippled." The owners in the group were in an uproar when they heard this voice. They didn't expect that John Yi would dare to oppose Chen Zhenghao. Moreover, it seemed that one of Chen Zhenghao's legs was injured. Chen Zhenghao held the phone so tightly that he almost broke it. "John Yi of the Grass Mud Horse, you wait for me. I will definitely kill you. John Yi is also unceremonious. You dog, come here if you have the guts. Let's see who dies first." I have to say that after the end of the world, John Yi is also very relaxed. Without so many scruples about public order, good customs, and social morality, now he doesn't need to give face to anyone. It's just cool. On the other side, Chen Zhenghao's lungs were about to explode. After returning to the house, relying on the insignificant effect of the air conditioner, I gradually regained consciousness. But the severe pain in his leg made him grin his teeth. Now if you want to move, you can only rely on crutches. After thinking carefully for a while, Chen Zhenghao felt that it would not be difficult for him to kill John Yi. He thought he had been shot with an arrow, only because of carelessness. Now that I am prepared, I can call my younger brother over, rush into John Yi's house, and beat him to death. Anyway, it was freezing outside, and the hospital and the police station were all in a state of shutdown. If you want to kill someone, now is the best time. Chen Zhenghao immediately called his younger brothers and asked them to bring guys over to help him kill John Yi. Many of Chen Zhenghao's younger brothers lived nearby. After receiving Chen Zhenghao's order, they brought machetes, baseball bats, steel pipes, and other objects to Chen Zhenghao's house. Seeing the injury on Chen Zhenghao's leg, these younger brothers all clamored to beat that man to death, to express their anger for Chen Zhenghao. Chen Zhenghao said coldly, "I'm fine. After a few days the snow will melt. I'll be fine in the hospital for a while. But this bastard dared to shoot me. Isn't this breaking ground on Tai Sui's head? If you don't kill him, what will I, Chen Zhenghao, do in the future?" The younger brother under him said at that time, "Brother Hao, tell me how good his room number is, and I will chop him up now." Chen Zhenghao nodded. They live in 2401 of this building, but this brat with small arms is very sinister and has a hand crossbow in his hand. He is the one who attacked me with the hand crossbow. A younger brother held up a steel pipe and yelled, "This man is too unskilled in martial arts. He actually plays sneak attack." Chen Zhenghao said, "Be careful when you go there. I know he is the only one in their house. Just don't let him shoot. Break open the door of their house, and kill him casually. Chen Zhenghao's younger brothers are all desperados. Although they know that Zhang has weapons, they are not afraid. Instead, they became excited one by one. Now that the city is closed due to snowstorms and there is no law, they can come to beat people openly. The malice in human nature was unscrupulously released on them. So, they took the guy and went to Zhang Yi's house together, trying to break in. And Zhang Yi also knew that Chen Zhenghao would not give up so easily, and would definitely come to take revenge. However, there was no tension in Zhang Yi's heart. He was at home, playing the game, while using the split screen to check the movement in the whole building. When Chen Zhenghao's little Karamis came over, he saw them clearly. The table in front of him is full of equipment, waiting for them to give them a good look after they come to the door. Anyway, those social scum deserve to die, and Zhang Yi will not have any soft-hearted thoughts. After a while, a dozen of Chen Zhenghao's subordinates arrived at the door of Zhang Yi's house. They knew that Zhang Yi had a crossbow in his hand, so they were a little careful when they came over. Several little Karami held wooden planks in their hands as shields in front of them. After arriving at the door of Zhang Yi's house, they found out that nothing was wrong before starting to do it. Open the door. You idiot. Dare to shoot our brother how? Let's see if we don't kill you today. Today next year will be your death day. Open the door. While they were swearing, they started to smash the door of Zhang Yi's house with the hammers and iron rods they brought. Wanting to break in, give Zhang Yi a hard lesson, and then hand it over to Chen Zhenghao. Zhang Yi played the game without any haste. He just happened to be stuck at the boss of the first level, died 7 or 8 times without passing, and he was in a bad mood at this time. Hearing the yelling outside and the knocking on the door, Zhang Yi yelled angrily, "Can't you use some strength? You haven't eaten." When those little Karamis heard Zhang Yi being so arrogant, they immediately became more angry, and their attacks became more serious. However, the safety door made of alloy 20 centimeters thick is difficult to open even with small blasts. Not to mention that they used the original smashing method to break the door. After working hard for a long time, a few small white spots appeared on the metal door, and the paint was just peeling off. Not to mention breaking the door, it didn't even sink in. Those little Karami were all dumbfounded. Fuck, this door is actually made of pure metal. It's still so thick, how can it be smashed? Steamer, how many enemies does this person have? A group of little Karami looked dumbfounded. But when they came, they made a promise with Chen Zhenghao that they would beat Zhang Yi half to death and bring him back. Now they couldn't break the door, and they couldn't go back to work, so they kept beating, smashing and yelling outside the door. Zhang Yi's game character died again. He finally got a little annoyed when he heard little Karami's cry outside. He went to the kitchen, connected a hose to the tap, and climbed up the firing port. No one noticed the little Karami outside the door, and the dog was still barking there. Zhang Yi sneered, then turned on the faucet, pointed at them and bared at them. The turbulent water flowed like a torrential rain in the narrow corridor, and instantly drenched their bodies. Can you imagine what it feels like to be poured with cold water at -70 degrees? Zhang Yi took a large water pipe and poured it on the little Karami outside the door. There is a temperature difference of about -degrees between indoor and outdoor. So when the water flowed out, it was still steaming, but after it fell on those people, it quickly froze. It was freezing cold, and they were all wearing down jackets and sweaters. The cold water soaked their whole bodies, making them feel as if they had been put into an ice cellar. Damn it! It's so cold, it's freezing me to death. Don't water it, don't water it. At such a time, they would rather be severely beaten than endure this freezing torture. All of them were so cold that their lips turned purple, and some even went into shock on the spot due to the excessive low temperature. Relying on instinct, they quickly ran away from the door of Zhang Yi's house. But in just 10 seconds, it was enough to make their whole bodies drenched. Before he even had time to get on the elevator and escape, his clothes were already frozen hard. John Yi watched them all run away, and then turned off the tap. He had planned to teach these people a lesson with a hand crossbow just now. However, the loading speed is too slow, and the opponent may counterattack through the shooting hole. On the contrary, this kind of flood irrigation has a better effect. After those little karamis were chilled by John Yi, all of them were so cold that their lips turned purple. They hurried back to Chen Zhenggeo's house. When Chen Zhenggeo saw them coming back in a state of distress, he couldn't help being furious. "Where's that little bastard? Have you caught him yet?" And those younger brothers hurriedly searched for quilts and sheets to keep warm. The clothes on them were all soaked, and they were all frozen into ice balls. More than a dozen people were scrambling for clothes and quilts in the room. However, because there were too many people and there were not enough items, the younger brothers had no choice but to take off their clothes and hug each other to keep warm. That picture is somewhat weird. This made Chen Zhenggeo so angry that he slapped the table vigorously and cursed, "Who will explain to me what is going on?" After the younger brothers recovered a little body temperature, they explained the ins and outs to Chen Zhenggeo tremblingly. "That John Yi is too despicable. He even barked us with a water pipe. I can't bear it at all. I don't know how thick the door of their house is. We smashed it for a long time and only a little paint fell off." After Chen Zhenggeo listened, he frowned deeply. When he knocked on the door himself, he really felt that the door of John Yi's house was very thick. It seems that it is difficult to attack by force. But soon, he sneered. "It doesn't matter, even if their family is an Iron King, there will always be flaws. And I don't believe that he can stay at home forever. The few of you are guarding nearby. As soon as he goes out, beat him to death immediately," Chen Zhenggeo said viciously. His younger brothers are also outlaws. Hearing this, they all sneered tremblingly. Although each of them has been frozen like a dog, they still have to show that they are very fierce. However, they never imagined that John Yi had no intention of leaving home at all. It was hell outside, but his room was heaven. How can there be any reason to go from heaven to hell? After tidying up Chen Zhenggeo and others, John Yi continued to go back and play his games. Although they knew that these guys would not let it go, they didn't have the ability to break into their own homes. As for going out, John Yi wouldn't make this choice if he was killed. Even if there is only 1/10,000th risk, he will not take it. Wouldn't it be nice to live so comfortably at home? Soon after, John Yi came to the floor-to-ceiling window to check the scene outside. There are actually people with tools to sweep the snow. He seemed to have seen Uncle Yu, the security guard, an upright and enthusiastic veteran who was always the first to rush when encountering problems. The dozen or so people downstairs are all talkative young people in the owner group. However, Antlin and other members of the neighborhood committee did not see a single shadow. Facing a thick layer of snow 2 or 3 meters high, they dug hard. However, John Yi knew that doing so was completely useless. Among other things, just to dig a road from downstairs to the gate of the community would take a whole day of digging. But what if you dig through it? The road outside is also completely covered. Such thick snow can only be cleared slowly by professional-level large-scale snow plows. But in the south, there is no such professional vehicle at all. Going out has become an impossible thing. What's more, it is impossible for them to last long in the weather of more than -70 degrees. The cold protection equipment can't keep up, and the physical fitness can't adapt to the low temperature. If you stay outdoors for half an hour, there is a risk of frostbite. John Yi shook his head. These honest people are really pitiful. But John Yi didn't bother to say anything about his own choice. After all, now, everything has nothing to do with him. He just wants to live well. Time comes to afternoon. John Yi felt a little hungry, so he took out a big meal from the different space. The food is relatively simple, just a plate of aolong, a Wellington steak, 2 Wanchan biscuits and a bottle of Coke. There are many such delicacies in his space. Now staying at home every day, John Yee's work and rest have become more free. In short, sleep when you are sleepy, eat when you are hungry, and there is no need to distinguish between day and night. The heavy snow outside the window is still falling. John Yee took the time to glance at the underside of the unit building in the community. Those who cleared the snow all went back. And they spent a long time clearing out an open space, which was soon covered by heavy snow again. Presumably they also realized that, with their own strength alone, they were powerless against nature. John Yee was lying on the sofa in autumn clothes. The temperature in the room was 27 degrees Celsius, which was comfortable and pleasant. He turned on the TV and watched the programs on the TV. Now many TV stations across the country have directly stopped broadcasting, and only some provincial-level channels and CCTV are still broadcasting. Among them are some slogans to promote official work and encourage everyone. At this moment, our eyes are set on Shenzhen. The officials are strategizing and directing us to launch the final attack against the snow disaster. According to reports, due to the ineffective prevention and control of the snowstorm in the rice country, million people have been affected and tens of millions of people have died. The development of snow disasters in our country is within a controllable range, and everything is developing for the better. I hope everyone will not be nervous and panic, and believe in the power of the authorities. John Yee shook his head. The magnitude and horror of the snow disaster is unimaginable to human beings. Although the government is working hard to solve the problem, human power is too weak in front of nature.